Hey folks, welcome to Deconstructing the Game. My name is Mike, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the composition of Arasaka Tower and how that composition and makeup of the structure might tell us a little bit about how CD Projekt Red plans on developing the game in the future, adding DLC and different rooms to different buildings. Let's get to it. So over the past few days I've been stacking cars on top of each other all the way from Pacifica to Corpo Plaza in order to get a little bit of a height advantage to explore not only Arasaka Tower but Miltek as well, and we're going to be looking at Miltek towards the end of the video just to see what CD Projekt Red might do in the future in relation to adding rooms to that and maybe expanding on the game as a whole. So all the way from Pacifica to Arasaka Tower. So the first thing I did was basically just have a look around the rooftop area of Arasaka Tower. So this area is the exact same as how you would remember it from the mission when Johnny Silverhand flies in here with Rogue to plant the nuke in 2023, and obviously the end of it is where Adam Smasher kicks you in the face and you wake up with Subaru Arasaka ultimately giving you Soul Killer in that chip. The room where that happens is actually underneath the map, underneath Arasaka Tower, and we can't get to that on an Xbox console because the map just pulls us straight back up and it reloads us. So unfortunately we can't get there, but we can use the car exploit glitch to get to the rooftop, and as you can see here, everything as is when Johnny stormed the tower, and we still have all the dead bodies lying around here as before. So nothing's changed. You can only get so far into the building from here, and then you have to employ some exploits and glitches using the vehicles. If you haven't seen the vehicle glitch before, all it really is you have to be outside the confines of the map, i.e. outside the geofence. You then just spawn a vehicle, call a vehicle, and it should arrive behind you floating in midair, and if it's not floating, all you have to do is jump on top of the vehicle and then spawn another one behind you, and then they will gradually get higher and higher, and you can basically use them as steps. And if you want to drop down, you have to shoot them or punch them, and they will drop down incrementally as time goes on. So as you can see here, I've just dropped into the CEO's office, and for anyone who has completed the game where you side with Arasaka and ultimately go up into space trying to find the answers to keep you alive, this is where Yorinobu Arasaka will be at the end of the game, and you have that discussion with him and Honako or Takamura as it may be. So this is a scene here from the CEO's office. The funny thing is about Arasaka Tower is that there are two offices that belong to Subaru Arasaka. There's one on the east side of the building and there's one on the west side of the building, and we also have these gigantic windows that look into the jungle section of the tower as well. If you haven't seen any of the areas, it's probably because you haven't done the relevant missions in the game towards the end. But it's interesting because I didn't realize there was two offices for Subaru. There seems to be two identical offices on the opposite side of the building, and we also have those large square rooms where you talk with Johnny Silverhand in flashbacks and with Alt as well. And just dropping down the side of the building, this is the opposite side of the building where the other gigantic window is that should be looking into the jungle right now, but due to a weird graphical anomaly it is very, very grey and only really see the window when you go around it. So unusual glitch there, but then again, it doesn't surprise me. By using vehicles inside Arasaka Tower, you can use some glitches to drop down by shooting the bike, and then by jumping onto it quickly enough, the bike falls, allowing you to not die when you hit the ground. So you can kind of float down, see all the modular sections of Arasaka Tower here, and this is where I'm going to take a deep dive into how it's actually constructed. So everything is very modular. for missions. So you'll have the different sections for the flashbacks, you'll have different sections for the end game missions, the lobbies, the atriums, the jungle section, and we even have a section in here that is from Never Fade Away, where of course you're Johnny Silverhand trying to save Alt Cunningham. So all those sections are actually in Arasaka Tower, so it's geographically correct. It's not like they're loaded into a separate part of the map like some other things are, which was quite interesting. So there is a lot of real estate in Arasaka Tower that's still available. We have massive sections of areas that could be improved upon. We have doorways that of course go to nowhere, which you've seen before. This is a section from Never Fade Away. You'll remember this, where Alt Cunningham should be lying in that chair. But yeah, there's plenty of real estate to go around in Arasaka Tower, so if they wanted to expand in this area, they could do a lot. They could add so many more rooms for functionality for future content, but who knows what they might do in relation to that. But they could certainly do a lot with Miltek, because that is about double or triple the size of Arasaka Tower. So they could certainly do a lot with that. You can even get into this area by glitching through some of the walls, but of course you can't get out. So as I say, if you're going to do any glitches, always save your game. The one thing that really did surprise me about this glitch that I was conducting was that the elevators actually go up and down an elevator shaft. I expected them to be kind of loading pods, if that makes sense, where your character would just kind of teleport from one section of the building to another. I know we have elevators and stuff that go up and down the mega buildings, but in areas like this where you're conducting missions, I didn't actually think they would go up and down, so that did surprise me. This part of the building here is from the west side. Just looking at the side there with a giant window from the jungle, and then that small window at the bottom there is part of the counterintelligence area where you take off from the AV pad at the start of the game if you go the corporal life path. So you can try and get into this area, you can glitch through the wall, but ultimately the door is closed. I couldn't get into the counter intel part via the inside, it was too far down, and as you get closer to the ground it will not allow you to spawn vehicles. So taking a look at the building from the outside, and I've just labelled some of the parts here, you can see where the rooms are in relation to the building. And in the next slide I've got very loosely based boxes where things are, so they're very modular, and I'm guessing this is how CD Projekt Red build their rooms, so they can add things in and just clip them in kind of thing and add them together. So looking at Miltek, if they were going to expand on the Miltek building, which is considerably larger, it's certainly wider than Arasaka Tower, they could do a lot with this, because at the very bottom of the building, for those of you who don't know, there are elevator shafts, there are turnstile security gates that are stopping you from kind of entering that building just now. And if you climb up to the lower tier section by using double jump, you can see into some rooms where there's displays of weaponry, there's some seating around there, and there's also some containers like suitcases that you can see as well. So they have fabricated some rooms inside Miltek, albeit they're very small rooms. And unfortunately I couldn't get into that area because Miltek, the entire building is surrounded by this invisible wall that you cannot break through. It's not like Arasaka where there's the windows and stuff that you can breach in, and it's like a one-way system where you can get in but you can't get out. There's nothing here that you can glitch through. They're all invisible walls. There are areas to the edge of the building that you can fall into, but as soon as you get towards where that room is at the bottom section, there's nothing. There's just like an invisible wall stopping you. You can't glitch through it, and you can't even see that room that you can normally see at the bottom. So it really depends on the angle of which you're looking. Like in Arasaka Tower, if you look at certain angles, things disappear. I've had V disappear in certain items of clothing, disappear V when you're looking at her at a different direction whilst you're in these glitched areas. So they load in differently, and from loading and glitching into Arasaka Tower pre 1.2, we were able to use vehicles to glitch through walls and see areas which we wouldn't normally be able to see outside of missions. And in some areas, those mission areas did not load because you haven't met that criteria of being in the mission, and it hasn't told the game that the area is meant to load. So how could CD Projekt Red expand Miltek then? Obviously it's a massive area, not just Miltek could be expanded, but Petrochem and Biotechnica as well. There's a huge amount of real estate in Night City that is just empty space. It's just a facade, and there's so much more that could be added. And of course 60% of the production team on CD Projekt Red now are working on future content, and 40% of the team are working on patches just to fix those game-breaking bugs. So it was really interesting to me having a look at the composition and the makeup of Arasaka Tower, just to have a little insight of how they might have things in the future for the game. This is inside Miltek just now. As you can see, I'm dropping down into the building. It's all disappearing and glitching out, and there's nothing really to see apart from the overhanging structure that goes over the road and connects to the building just across the road. So even in here, there's no rooms, there's nothing to see. I did get excited when I saw this. I thought this might have been a room, but then on further inspection it was just the overhanging bridge. On the outside of Miltek, it's again surrounded by an invisible wall, unbreachable. You cannot get through into the structure at all. You can get close to it, you can have a look at some of the signs that are rolling across the building. It appears to be just jargon. I'm not sure if it's actual code, computer code, or any kind of coding language. To my knowledge, it's just a bunch of random symbols. I'm not sure you're meant to see this so close up like this. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed. I was hoping to get inside Miltek to see how things were made up, but yeah, I mean, the video was hard because I spent a lot of time jumping on cars to get this high, and there was a lot of video footage that I gained. But ultimately I didn't want this to drag on too much, but hopefully it would give you guys a bit of an insight into how they might just be developing rooms bit by bit, and they have different teams working on rooms, and then they'll just kind of pop them into certain areas in the future. Possibly, they said there's not going to be any online gameplay just yet, but certainly for story missions, they could add things along the corpo path, and they could add more gigs and missions. So hopefully in the future we'll see more rooms added, we'll see more buildings and more infrastructure and real estate added for enjoyment. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. It's a little bit different, it's not as conclusive as I would normally like it, but in the next video we're going to be looking at some high-rise rooftop places, some potential penthouses, things that have been cut or coming in the future. So stick around for that. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you later.